their facility. I was a bit late, but with the long working hours of crush time, the guys fit me in just before the sun set. The crusher destemmer machine takes the clusters and breaks the berries, then it separates the stems by a spinning colander type thing. Out the hose comes the fresh juice in the berries. Now in the fermenting bin, the juice is taken to the cellar at Curtis to sleep for the weekend. Now it's time for some cold beer. So far on my journey, I'd have to say the best part of the experience has been meeting great people. Some of the coolest and most interesting of them are the home vendors and farmers. One of those is Joe Waller. Joe makes all types of wine at his home in Longview, California. Everything from his late harvest Riesling he's crushing now, to Cabs and Chardonnays, to fruit wines, including an incredible one made from pomegranates. Using vintage tools like this grape crusher and this old converted book press, he is a true craftsman.
Well, I think it's the challenge of trying to make a good product out of just a berry that's growing there and say, I accomplished something, here it is, and it's not going to last, enjoy it now. By next year, it's not going to be as good. If it is good now, it'll probably be gone by next year.
Another really interesting person I met was Richard Harris. Richard is an Oscar-winning film editor who took a small 3/4 acre area at his home and turned some of his artistic energy into growing beautiful Viognier.
I can tell you, I really knew nothing about wine. You open a bottle, oh, this tastes good. And that was my extent of my knowledge of wine. And I just got involved and did some research, and I started laying out the vineyard here. Next thing you know, I'm planting. And I chose European planting, which my rows are very close. You know, they're planted 6 and 3. I could get a tractor in here. I choose not to have any machinery at all in the vineyard. So it's all done by hand. I think a lot of it's luck, you know. I think it was like, you know, picking movies to work on too.
And he picked some of the best. Richard ends up with about 75 cases each vintage, and what he and his wife Pamela can't drink with friends, they sell under their Calzada Ridge label, with Andrew Murray doing the honors in the cellar.
By me picking Viognier, I think I just struck it rich here. And I love for people to drink my wine and say, wow, this is really, really good. Like seeing a movie with them. They say, honestly, I really love that movie. And that's a good feeling. That's a really good feeling.
I dream of having that feeling someday, but for now I'm just going to have hope. Passion for quality is what I find to be the most common trait among all winemakers. Richard, Joe, and many others are continuously tuning on their craft, but every one of them, even to the top, had a first wine, and often it didn't come out so good.
Great amateur attempt.
To be honest, what's that woman?
Did it blow up in the refrigerator? Not very palatable at all.
Pretty disgusting.
The thinner you use for airplane glue,
Was not too pleasant after a while.
It was hard to love some of these kids. They were really ugly.
Well, it's hard to love and not be loved. It's hard to please your mind.
Luckily for me, my first time I had Chuck helping me out.
When you're broken the heart, many a poor boy, but you never break this heart of mine.
When Chuck and I got back to the cellar on Monday, it seems that the grapes had had a little party over the weekend. Fermentation had started, most likely because it had been so hot and taken me so long to get the fruit picked. Chuck said this was no problem, and we added our yeast, which would eventually take over the native yeast and continue so we would get a good, even fermentation that we have a little more control over. Punching down the cap was my next job.
This is a really good example of a cap. The skin from the pulp, as it flows to the top, it gets pushed up by the CO2 that's being given off during the fermentation process. You get this mass of grapes and whatnot. And below that is the fermenting juice. And so our technique that we've been doing is punching down. We actually push this cap down into the fermenting juice. That helps do the extraction, color, and flavor that are in the grape skins themselves.
I did this 2 to 3 times a day. Part of the deal was for me to do some of Chuck's spins while I was there. the way, we check the temperatures and watch the bricks drop as the alcohol rises. The aromas that come from fermentation and the smell of the crush is so distinct.
You get within, 50 feet of the winery and you begin to smell what's happening.
There's an aroma, particularly in Pinot Noir fermentations, it's very raspberry. It's just a very heady aroma. I wish we could bottle that.
Going through this first fermentation is something I won't soon forget.
First thing I ever made wines was actually some Muscat, table grapes from Muscat grapes. I was going to college and my roommate and I, wanted to make some wine, and white wine in Fresno in an apartment is really challenging. Made it in the bathroom in these glass carboys and not very palatable at all.
The first time I made wine, literally, was at UC Davis in a carpool, a couple of them. We'd go out to the different blocks and we'd pick some grapes or some stuff would come in and we'd make wine. And you would be checking the bricks and the temperature, and you're in a carboy that was maybe 5 gallons and with no refrigeration. And things can go wrong very quickly in small lots. And it was wine. It was fermented grape juice. It had alcohol, and it tasted like hell. And you'd taste this wine here from Robert Mondavi or this wine from Joe Heights, and then you'd taste yours. Now, granted, they were young and raw, but there was a huge difference.
When the first grapes grew on the vine in the third year, a small amount, it was one of the most exciting things, of course. And being innocent, enthusiastic, I decided now I'm going to make my own wine. So I got the basic equipment, partly rented, borrowed, bought, and we stomped the grapes here the traditional way with our feet. We did everything by the book, without experience, and came out with some 200-300 bottles of red wine, which, to be honest, was abominable.
Were you still drinking?
Well, you had to. So it was a matter of pride.
This next account is from the founder of one of California's most famous wines, Stag's Leap Wine Cellars. Warren Winiarski put it all on the line in 1964 when he left Chicago in his teaching career to move his young family to the Napa Valley to give his life to wine. Later, it would be one of his bottles that arguably would put California wines back on the map when in 1976, at the Paris wine tasting, Warren's 1973 Cabernet Sauvignon took top honors over many famous French Burgundies and Bordeaux. It was dubbed the Judgment of Paris and started a revolution in the wine world that is still felt today. Warren is a Napa pioneer and one of the kings of California wine, but even his first wine wasn't so perfect.
Well, there's all the exciting things, again, that I read about, but now it's having the first experience. I bought some grapes. I bought a crock at an antique store on the roadside in Maryland countryside. I think I bought the crock on the same trip where I got the grapes. I washed it out, crushed the grapes, squeezed them by hand, enough to put in this crock to begin the fermentation. I made the wine, and it was good. The wine was good. And so I was very pleased. What I didn't take into account was these fine hair-like cracks in this crock. This was my beginning introduction to microbiology, that these crocks had been used for making sauerkraut, for example. And so the fermentation process is essentially similar, but there are other microbes, and they had their own ideas about what to do with this wine, which were different from my ideas. So they transformed that first batch.
Another great California winemaker and Zinfandel guru, Joel Peterson, talks about making wine with his father when he was 10 years old.
Well, the first one was grapes that he picked up from a friend. Pinot Noir in those days was not particularly good anyway. Talk about starting with the hardest grape you could possibly start with to make wine. We did it in the traditional way. We stemmed it and crushed it and put it in the garbage cans, and it was really exciting to see these grapes come in and crush them and sort of get into them with your hands. it was very childlike play in some ways. And yet it smelled good, it tasted good, you know. And I had the job of having to go out and punch it down periodically. So it was, you know, it was great excitement for a little kid, but I don't think we had any clear idea or a clear understanding of exactly what fermentation was about, what native yeast was about versus, you know, wine yeast.
What started my fermentation was the native yeast that come in on the grapes from the vineyard. Few winemakers use this native yeast. Many opt to control the process with a lab-developed yeast specific to the kind of wine that they're trying to make. At Ridge Winery, they seem to do many things different than the rest. Here in one of California's most unique wine-growing regions, they craft world-renowned Zinfandels and Cabernets using only the native yeast. Paul Draper has been winemaker there since the late 60s. His passion for the grape was one of the most inspirational influences of my journey. Winery and vineyards on Montebello are perched high above the Silicon Valley. While doing humanitarian work in South America with college friends Sam Armstrong and Anchorstein beer king Fritz Maytag, Paul developed the wine philosophies that are still with him to this day.
We leased an old bodega in Chile and started making wine back in 1966. And for about 3 vintages, I used traditional techniques from pre-Prohibition America and from Europe, and began making wine totally traditionally, natural yeast, very simply, there in Chile.
In California, most winemakers use French barrels. Through extensive testing, Paul's found he prefers American oak.
One thing I didn't want to do in California was make imitation Bordeaux. And I felt that if American oak were as good, even though different, as French oak, that I would rather use that than add a French nuance to an American wine.
Considering the quality of the wine, it's amazing that more winemakers don't follow his philosophy.
That passion and that excitement that was there in those years in Chile is still here. And as I say, each new vintage, that excitement comes again, the passion for doing the best we possibly can do to try to make one of the great wines of the world every year.
See that rock? Paul lives just down the way. He spends many a sunset there with good friends and some good wine. Yet another place where the wine lifestyle is lived to the fullest. Meanwhile, speaking of barrels, back at the bodega.
Now I'm going to rack these barrels up and clean them all out, and then add some junk in there to clean them up, and then fill them with water, help the wood separate a little bit, or come together. Something like that.
Now you get a little idea of what I meant when I said I didn't know anything when I started this. It was time to press up our wine and get it into barrels. I was having trouble finding good used barrels when at the last minute Wolfgang said he had a couple for cheap. Only problem was they had been on the side of his house for a while and they looked kind of rough. Chuck told me to bring them over so we could get them ready, and at first glance he said they looked like they had been decommissioned from a pirate ship. That was good enough for me, actually. But upon inspection, Chuck said that they were quality barrels, and through checking the insides, he said they were good and would work. We just needed to add some sanitizers and clean them out. Now we were ready to press. The basket press, in one form or another, is a traditional way to press wine. Put the grape must in the basket, push down on it, the juice is squeezed out, and it leaves a cake or pressed skins that get composted. Here's a good example of a cake left over from pressing at Ken Brown's winery. Many winemakers use a sack in the basket to keep the area around it free from spraying wine. This is where things really started to take shape. I could see the wine flowing and it really tasted good. We filled the barrels to the top and they're ready to age.
you did really well here, Rob. I think, what you're seeing with this wine now, it's in a process where it's undergoing malolactic fermentation. They take the malic acid, convert it to lactic acid, so soften the acidity of the wine, gives it a little broader, softer mouthfeel. Sometimes they don't even complete the secondary fermentation until the springtime. Very aromatic, and a little bit of the leaves, which would be the suspended yeast cell, the bacteria still in suspension in the wine. I mean, this is a very young wine, it's a month old. And so I think you're definitely on your way to becoming a rock star in the wine industry, man.
It is so complex, it can change from day to day, and it can be so many different things. And nuances and aromas and the nuances and flavors. I love hearing other wine aficionados, the stories of their seminal experience with wine, the wine that really connected for them. It's almost as if they've got religion with the taste of that wine.
There was a wine that I had in about 1967, which was a Volnay, and it just was, it tasted like velvet, and that was the first wine that really opened my eyes to other possibilities.
I would have to say, Beaucastel Chateauneuf du Pape, 1988. 89 was good too. But when I tasted that wine, I thought, this is the way wine is supposed to taste.
Setting was perfect. It was a luncheon. Tasted the Green Hungarian. Had a chance to go through the at that time Souverain through the winery and see what it was all about. And it was a very exciting experience. And it was sort of like a light bulb went off in my head. And that's what brought me to the Napa Valley.
I was working for a small advertising company down in Orange County, California, and one of our clients was a wine shop. And the wine shop wanted to pay me in wine rather than cash. And the first one I opened, which was a 1970 Simi Cabernet Sauvignon, just blew me away at how good it was. And I basically said, I can't believe wine is really this good. And it was all over from there.
I remember drinking a bottle of Rapido Chambly. I was in New York on a business trip. And it was probably one of the first wines where everybody talks about soil and terroir and the influence of the environment, namely the soil on the finished wine. That wine, I felt like, boy, I get it now. I see what they're talking about.
Just to pick one, I would say having the 29 tour, so it was 41 years old, and it was absolutely glorious. It was, it's one of those things where you just sit there and you smell it alone, and already it carries you away, and you sip it, and you sort of say, oh my God, and you're just sitting there holding that glass, and hard to believe that there's anything that complex and that interesting that can be in a glass.
The first wine that blew my mind, wow, it was so long ago that it only sticks in my mind because of the event that was around. My father had a wine tasting club, and they met on Friday nights, and they tasted 12 wines at a sitting, and they were tasting pre-full extra clarets. And I was all of maybe 5 years old. And I walked out to the kitchen because they were being rowdy and obnoxious and loud, and saw the bottles on the counter, and picked up one of those bottles, and proceeded to take a swig at it while they rolled the can in. It was all sediment from wines that were pre-1860. And needless to say, it blew my mind. It was really intense. Yeah. My father, of course, broke up when he saw me because all the cups running out.
I remember drinking the 1989 Zinfandel from South Africa was the wine for me. It was an epiphany tasting for me. I was sitting on a hammock overlooking the vineyard. It was planted in 1880. And a glass of wine in my hand, and that's when I out loud said to myself, this is what I'll do for the rest of my life. This is what I'll do.
When you taste a wine,
don't do nothing. That man comes back in here, he sees you full with that, he's gonna be pissed.
And all of a sudden I go, This is what.
Tell me we don't want you to miss anything.
Yeah, we don't wanna miss it.
It's the kind of passion people like Chuck really have.
All of us
It
go
creates such
outside.
memorable wines. In the 60s, Chuck left a career in graphic arts to learn to craft winemaking under the tutelage of Joe Heights. In the years
We just have to
following,
ask
he became the
nicely.
go-to winery consultant being revered for his barrel-fermented Chardonnays. Wanting to do his own thing, he founded Meridian Vineyards and became a pivotal figure in the Central Coast wine explosion. He has gotten back to his roots, handcrafting small lots of beautiful wines like the Sun Mat in the Edmund Valley.
You know, a lot of our winemaking process is done based on taste and flavor and what we're finding in the wine, you know, through sensory analysis.
I need
We
chapstick.
do just look at it as Chuck going full circle. It was kind of time for him to get back to, you know, kind of enjoying the winemaking part of it.
It's fantastic to taste out of the barrels, to see his expression and enthusiasm, and it's just nice to carry on the family tradition. I was so happy the day that he came forward and said, "Hey, Dad, I'd like to get in the wine business," and to be able to carry on this tradition is very exciting.
Two of Chuck's friends, Gary Everly and Ken Bolt, are Casa Robles and Central Coast pioneers as well. With each new vintage, they continue to reinvent themselves, still crafting wines filled with character and the same passion they had 30 years ago.
The passion comes from a lot of different things. I mean, basically, it's so fun and creative. I mean, this business, I mean, you know, it really is sort of a dream job. I mean, I think the concept of being a winemaker is a little bit overstated because I'm not a yeast elf, but I really enjoy the production of wine, the creativity involved in it, literally from the ground up. From, you know, planting the vineyards, growing the vines, making the wine, the marketing, and, you know, there's always something to do, and it's always challenging, and I feel really very blessed and very fortunate to be able to be doing what I'm doing and where I'm doing it.
I just don't go a day without thinking about wine or doing something with wine. And I think it's the greatest thing about being in this business. And it's not a business, it's really a lifestyle. I mean, I live what I do.
Back to the cellar again, and it's time to rack our wine. During barrel aging, yeast and other solids called the lees fall out of suspension in the wine where they gather at the bottom of the barrel. First off, we pull the clear wine from just above the lees and move it to a clean holding barrel. Chuck here uses a light to sight sediment in the flow to determine how deep to put our hose. Racking is a very natural process. Basically, you use gravity to settle and clear the wine over time. Next, we dump out all the leaves and gunk.
Basic tube that sticks up in the barrel, and we'll be washing it with 180-degree water.
After Chuck got the first barrel going, he left it to me. Things were going good on the second barrel, then... That's not good. It was a little bit of water. We're getting ready to put the wine back in. We added some sulfur to guard the wine from unwanted bacteria and other things. Now we needed to get the clean wine back in the barrels. The siphon had been giving me fits all day. Chuck was laughing at me. Then, welcome to the romance. I eventually did it. We got the wine back in the barrels. Now it goes into the cellar to continue aging until we rack it again in a couple of months. At this point, my experiences were piling up. Good and bad, they were all part of it.
Well, right over there, I almost drowned in a tank of recently. And I was fixing the bottom of the tank and in a tight space and changing the valve. And the valve broke and this grease was pouring right into my face. And then the gill is still working for me, holding out.
Yeah.
And I can turn it off. Purple.
God bless you. Half of us have to pee.
I still like recently, but boy.